Well, hello and good morning. My name is Kristin Kaufman. Welcome to Have a Seat with Kristin. For those of you who I've not met, my name is Kristin Kaufman. I'm the CEO and founder of a company by the name of Alignment. And we come on here every so often to share perspectives and insights relative to the quest of alignment, how we can actually create and build the lives and the careers that we want. The name of these series, Have a Seat with Kristin, actually pays homage to the 3 books that I wrote entitled, Is This Seat Taken? So if you're curious, you can Google that and find out a little bit more about the books. So today I actually wanted to continue in answering a question that someone asked me a few weeks ago. And the question was, Kristin, what is like the one thing we can do to create the life that we truly want? And I addressed that question in a prior video. Today, I actually want to take it one step further because I also had someone ask me the question, what is the one thing that you think is the single most important component in building a strong career, not to mention a strong life? And that is a really relatively easy question for me. Of course, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a very faith-driven person. So it goes without saying that everything that I do in my life is very closely tied and integral to my faith and to a belief in a higher power, and that we are here to serve one another. So that is the baseline. But to answer the question from a practical perspective, in addition to having a faith-based, prayer-centered life, I truly believe that the single most important thing to building a career and a life that has meaning and value is developing strong and authentic relationships. And I don't use that term loosely. I think people sometimes banter around friends and relationships somewhat cavalier. And I really am much more reverent about the relationships and the alliances with whom with whom I build. So I want to talk about that in 4 ways. The first is, I truly believe that we are here to learn, to teach, and to serve. And I believe that's all tied up with that wonderful glue called love. So if indeed that is my belief system, then I have to embrace every relationship with whom I build around the concept of what can I learn from those individuals, and perhaps even what can I teach? Because that's truly, if we're here in Earth School, that's how we learn and grow as human beings and in Earth School. So that is the first thing. And I use that as the first pillar because I truly believe that it's not always hummingbirds and roses. Oftentimes the relationships that we establish in life are challenging, and they're teaching us something that may or may not be comfortable as we're going through it. So relationships are not all just the happy relationships. Oftentimes they are challenging, they can be gnarly, they can push our buttons, and they can push us to become the best human beings that we can be. So that is the first thing. And I wanted you to say, I took off my glasses because the reflection oftentimes fights with the video. So let me just look down at my notes. So the first thing is to learn, to embrace all the relationships with the concept of we are here to learn, we are here to teach, and we are to serve. And we do that in community with one another. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I truly do believe that our relationships that we build need to have that fundamental bedrock of trust. Now, that oftentimes, again, is a very cavalier term that people banter around. And I'm a huge believer that trust doesn't mean that you're going to like everything that you hear that comes out of someone's mouth. But if you truly do trust them, you rely upon them to be authentic and to be truthful. And that word authentic means showing all of yourself, the whole self, the shadow self as well. So that bedrock of trust in all relationships, both in career, professional, but also in personal, family, friends, as well as just our acquaintances. That is, to me, a fundamental bedrock for any relationship to be worthy and worthy of our investment and our time, and also worthy of our engagement. So trust is the second piece of what I consider to be a fundamental premise on developing strong relationships in our lives. And the last thing that I will say, And again, this goes back to the whole concept of alignment, which many of you all have heard me talk about for years now, 16 years to be exact. Alignment, again, for those of you who are new, from my perspective, is when you love what you do, you're good at it, but most importantly, it's tied to something greater than yourself. And I think that third pillar also applies to our relationships. The most fervent, fruitful, and robust relationships that I have are tied to something bigger than just me. They are tied to a cause that we share. They are tied to helping each other grow and achieve our potential, reach our potential. And that true north of truly trying to contribute at your highest level, I truly believe can only be done with the support and help of those around us and in community. So that third pillar of having a relationship tied to something greater than just yourself gives it that, what I call that renewable energy source, so that it is pervasive. It continues long after you may have achieved what you personally were trying to get from a relationship. It goes way beyond that. And I can tell you, I have friendships that are lifelong friendships, and they've ebbed and flowed because our lives ebb and flow. But those friendships that are decades long are all tied to something greater than myself, which is why they have served and thrived through the test of time, because we are tied to something bigger than just ourselves. We are tied to a greater good. So those are my three thoughts on relationships. I do believe that relationships are the single most important aspect of the human condition, how we grow, how we learn, how we teach, how we serve, and ultimately how we build and create the lives that we were meant to live. So with that, again, my name is Kristin Kaufman. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Have a Seat with Kristin. If you're curious about learning more about the services that we provide, you can find me at KristinKaufman.com. You can certainly click on any of the links below this video on YouTube, and you will find more about the services that we offer, the books that I've written, and if I could be potentially of service to you. With that, make it a great day and a great week, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode of Have a Seat with Kristin.